Okay, good fortune number 2. I decided in 1992 or 3 that I was going to write a book about this village. I'd been coming out here for 10 or 12 years, but it was time to write a book. So I started in the archives, which is what historical geographers do, and I went to Santa Fe and I got into the San Miguel del Vado land grant microfilm reels. We're sitting on the San Miguel del Vado land grant. It's a Spanish land grant dating from 1794. And El Cerrito is the last village going downstream on the Pecos River in the San Miguel del Vado land grant. So I got into the archives of the San Miguel del Vado land grant. There were 4 reels of microfilm, and it took hours to start going through this stuff. And I came across track 1 in the documents. Track 1 is El Cerrito. And I discovered that they listed for track 1 the original 15 heads of households who were given land in 1824. And as I looked through the rest of the San Miguel del Vado land grant, I found that no other of the 9 communities had a list of the original founders. Only El Cerrito. Oh man, this was wonderful. All these were males, they were men, they were all heads of household. That meant they had families, most of them. And so what I could do with those names was to go to the archives, also microfilm in Santa Fe, that the archives of the Archdiocese of Santa Fe that have the baptisms, the marriages, the burials, the confirmations. There are 4 sets of these. And they're not indexed. They're not, you know, you can't go and look for a surname in these things. You just have to start cranking through these marriages, and you have to memorize your 15 names, and you have to learn to read this Paleo-Spanish handwriting, and you occasionally will come across one of your names, you know, and I did. And I found 13 of the 15 original heads of household. There were 2 that I never did find. And so, you know, once you find these names, what you can do is go find out who they were. Well, okay, now this person was baptized someplace, this person was married, and you get to get a family context, and then you can find out who these people were related to in the subsequent waves of people that come to El Cerrito. So there begins to be a story about this. It wasn't just 15 people that the alcalde came and said, this parcel will be yours, you know, and Ramon Alari, who was the prime mover in all of this, got the largest hunk of land. Wasn't said just how much, but clearly he got by far the largest number of varas. A vara is about a yard, 33 inches. And land was measured along an irrigation ditch by how many varas you were entitled to. You got 50 varas, or something like that. Well, Ramon Alari got a big chunk of land, and as a matter of fact, Rick Quintana, sitting right here, owns the Ramon Alari land and house, which is the most precious, historically precious, of all the houses in the village today, because it was built by the person who was the main mover. Well, now, you know, you find out these names, like Ramon Alari, and then you start poking around in other documents. And you find that in the documents having to do with the Presidio, it turns out he was a soldier in the Presidio in Santa Fe. At the age of 9, Alari is a major family in New Mexico, and it derives actually from French, not Spanish. It was Frenchman, a French man who came, married a Spanish woman in Santa Fe. She died. He married another one, had a whole bunch of kids from 2 marriages. I think Ramon Alari was the 2nd marriage. And yeah, Rick.
And wasn't he also a soldier?
And he was a soldier. So at the age of 19, he becomes a soldier, as his dad had been, at the Presidio in Santa Fe, which is right next to the governor's palace today. Was, I mean, it's no longer there. And at the age of, okay, he musters in at 19, I think it was the age of 26, he's dismissed from the army. And the reason is, the reason it's given is chronic illness. Apparently the guy was sick a lot. But he nonetheless served on 4 campaigns, you know, going out to fight the Indians. And the guy was described, and he was 5'1", and he had brown hair and light complexion and a mole on one cheek. That was how he was described when he became a soldier at the age of 19. Well, he ends up with a 2nd marriage to Manuela Jaramillo. And Manuela Jaramillo, all her life went by the name Jaramillo. She didn't change it to Alari because women kept their maiden surnames all through their lives. And if you wanted to say that she was married to Alari, you'd say Manuela Jaramillo de Alari. But otherwise, she was just known as Manuela Jaramillo. And that was his 2nd marriage. His first wife died. He had a couple kids with his first wife, and then he had a couple more, but they all died young with his 2nd wife. And in fact, I think the earliest, or one of the earliest burials of a villager from Cerrito was one of Ramon Alari's children, who died at 3 months or something like that. So, okay, it was a major windfall for me to run across the 15 names of the original heads of household, because then you could go to other documents in the archives and piece together a story about who these people were. They were coming from Santa Fe, they were coming from Albuquerque, actually about half and half. They congregated here at La Cuesta, which was the name for Villanueva. They were brought down the valley 4 miles along the river. They were put into their land, possession of their land by the alcalde, whose name was Padilla. And you now understand who these people, who the relatives were that explain the waves of people that come to Cerrito after that. So this is what I tried to get into in the book.